Hey guys, I hope you're having a great start to your Friday, and I'm back in Wagga, currently hanging out in my van. And I was just thinking about this morning about really what potentially could really serve. And I think it's a really, really key distinction. It's something that I've had to be really aware of for myself, certainly over the years. And I've worked with so many clients where this is actually really impacting at a deep level. And it's one of those really important factors that if you don't have self-belief, if you don't have self-confidence, and of course there's varying levels of that. That's the one thing also to keep in mind. Good morning, gorgeous Erica. Lovely to see you on here, honey. Is the most important thing, when we don't have self-belief or confidence, then often we actually stop showing up for ourselves. We don't take the action steps that are required to live the life that we're truly wanting. And please say good morning if you're jumping on here. Sometimes Facebook doesn't show me everybody that's jumping on, so we'd love to say hi to you if you are on here. So the biggest thing, obviously, with that self-belief and the confidence, well, where does this start to impact life? It impacts relationships, because if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe that you're lovable or worthy or deserving or valuable, then of course that's going to play out in relationships where perhaps insecurities might show up, perhaps jealousy or control or feeling not worthy of receiving the love. So unconsciously we sabotage or we push love away. Good morning, Deb. Lovely to have you on here. Where this might show up, say, self-belief within if you're starting your own business or you want to start your own business, then we won't take the action steps. It's that fear becomes paralyzing. And underneath this as well, that's also derailing the level of confidence that we have that we can create a life that we want, or our dreams, or move towards our dreams and our greatest visions. And B, it impacts us being able to follow through and take action, which becomes then a negative feedback loop, because obviously that goes on to impact how we feel about ourselves, and again, then the results that we get, because we're not taking action, so therefore we're not getting the results. So you can see how this becomes quite a negative spiral around this. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize, certainly when it comes to self-belief and when it comes to confidence, is how much fatigue, exhaustion, and burnout are actually playing into this. Hey, Gib, great to have you on, honey. One of the biggest things around this is when we feel exhausted, when we feel burnt out, we often feel that we don't have the energy to put behind our goals, but we can misname this. Hey, Rebecca, great to have you on, darling. We misname this and we call it laziness. So we start to criticize, or we start to berate ourselves, which again goes back into that negative feedback loop where we just keep exhausting ourselves further and further, because now it's impacting our self-esteem. Now we're criticizing ourselves. Now we've labeled ourselves as perhaps lazy or disorganized, or just not motivated, I just need to get more motivated, when actually what's actually going on at a deeper level may be underlying health conditions, maybe adrenal fatigue, and also, of course, our mind, our body, our soul are all interlinked. So if they're all not syncing and all aligned in the one direction to move forward, then it's kind of like driving a car where the wheels are totally out of alignment. And it can be, or driving, with a flat tire. It can be a pretty bumpy ride, right? And it's hard to steer, it's hard to go fast, it's hard to create momentum from that place. And so that's why it's so important as well in terms of really stepping up and increasing that level of self-belief and the self-confidence by overcoming burnout and stress and fatigue, and remembering that stress comes from deep fear. Now, what happens when we're going for a big goal or we're getting outside of our comfort zone, right? Fear will present. But if you do not have the skills, if you aren't able to move past the fear that you're actually experiencing, and it continues to paralyze you, then this will exacerbate burnout. This will exacerbate, that derailing of self-belief and confidence, because you're not taking action. And often, it takes incredible energy. Like, we've got so much energy flowing through us, but when we pinch ourselves off from that, when we deplete ourselves from that by buying into fear and by paralyzing ourselves, now it's kind of like, if you imagine the pressure that builds up if you were to block a river flowing, and how much pressure builds up. That's the pressure in our system. And when that's not discharged in a creative way, in a way that's truly resourceful, then that becomes a way of where we're going for emotional eating. We might be, being reactive in relationships. This plays out in so many different ways. Good morning, Cal. Great to have you on. Hey, Sandra. Lovely to have you on. So when we're not actually utilizing our energy and freeing our energy and stepping through our fear, and then again, like I said, then it derails our self-belief and confidence again, because then if we're emotional eating, or we're not taking care of our physical body, or perhaps you've, said to yourself, right, I'm really committed to getting fit, or I'm really committed to my health and my well-being. But now because of burnout or exhaustion, you're reaching for high sugar, high fat foods, or perhaps you're so exhausted that you're trying to do something that's completely unsustainable for you at this point in time. Not saying that you couldn't ever do it, but if you're not actually really taking care of your body, then, and you're pushing yourself well beyond your limits, then of course that's going to continue the burnout. So you can see how this really does create a huge negative feedback loop. And guess what? The more that we are fatigued and exhausted and burnout, the more active the ego survival mind becomes. And so it becomes even more hyper vigilant. So what else is going wrong? We often become guarded in the way that we communicate. We often can definitely become even more defensive or justifying. So, well, I said this or I said that. So we're reactive in our communication, which of course ends up leading to further and further stress in our life, which again exacerbates the burnout, which again exacerbates the self-belief or the confidence issues, and the self-esteem issues, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about how we're showing up, who we're being, all of those things. So it really is so important to get on top of exhaustion and fatigue, because it really can impact and increase the level of fear that we're experiencing in life on a day-to-day level. Plus, if you're using push energy, which is less detrimental for men long term, but long term it's still going to burn out both men and women. But men are more designed to have that push energy, the focus, the intent, the drive, all of that. Whereas for females, particularly if you're truly in your core essence, you're a feminine being, then, and this can be true of men or women, it's not necessarily gender related, but most men are more masculine dominated and most women are more feminine dominated. But depending on which one is actually driving us, hey Ange, great to have you on, honey. Depending on which one we're using the energy of the masculine energy or the feminine energy to get things done, then that will be exhausting, particularly if you are a female and you're truly feminine in your core essence. And it's a lot of that real focused, driven, determined energy, which is great in short bursts, and I certainly utilize it quite consciously in my own life, but it certainly doesn't serve me in my intimate relationship. It doesn't serve me in staying in that energy. It's not sustainable for me to stay in that energy, because as a woman, like, generally we'll build up a lot of tension across our shoulders, into our neck, when we're in that push energy. And a lot of that push energy, because as humans we'll do more to get out of pain than what we will to move towards pleasure. So if we're in a lot of fear and you're using a lot of push energy to try and change your life, then again it's going to result in a lot of more fatigue, a lot more burnout, and a lot more feeling unmotivated motivated or feeling resistant to actually doing what it is that you're wishing to or that you're wanting to in order to change your life. So really getting clear on these things is absolutely critical, and it's exactly what I deal with in my Thrive program, because Thrive is all about not just surviving the day, not just grinding and finally getting through the day, but absolutely loving and engaging a life at the next level, where we're doing actions, we're taking actions, inspired actions from pure alignment, and from really stepping into moving towards what it is that we want, rather than moving away from what we're fearing, what we're scared of. Oh my God, I've got to go work out because if I don't, I'm going to put on weight. Like all those things, they are fear-based reasons to do stuff, and it takes tremendous push energy and a lot of resistance to overcome. Now, you can overcome it in short bursts. It's just not sustainable energy. And like I said, if you continue to try and push, it is absolutely depleting and exhausting, where to the point, like I said, it's not sustainable, and often then we fall off track, we fall off the wagon, beat ourselves up, feel like a failure, feel like I'm never going to get there, and then that now starts to become the story that we create, which again goes back and totally derails the self-belief and confidence. So when this is taken care of, when you are high energy, you're moving in sustainable energy, which comes from your beliefs, your alignment within yourself, and those beliefs moving towards something that you're wanting to create, rather than moving away from pain or fear, where you're living from your heart, not pushing from your head of, oh my God, I have to, I need to, I should, I must, oh my God, I'm going to fail if I don't. When that's cleared, it feels joyous to show up. It feels so incredible to show up in such an amazing way. We move through life so much easier. We do things from that place of absolute joy, rather than from exhaustion or fear of not being enough. And not only that, but it increases the self-belief. It increases the self-confidence, which then flows on to taking greater action, taking aligned action. So more specifically, not just doing any action, but the right action that actually creates the synchronicities, the opportunities that flow more effortlessly and easily to you, where you're just feeling freaking phenomenal. You're loving on yourself. Your self-love is high. You're amplifying that energy towards others and outwards. So you're being a positive influence. Life will flow so much easier, because now you're not like butting heads with everybody around you. You're not feeling reactive. You're loving on everybody and really being the inspiration and the positive influence that I know that so many people wish to be for their kids, for people around them. It doesn't feel great as a human. I know certainly for myself, when we're caught in that negativity, or we feel like, oh my God, I'm just banging on about all the stuff that's going wrong, as opposed to what's going right, what could I be grateful for, how do I feel blessed? But it's all of those things that we do an absolute deep dive on. You get to understand what's really at the heart of that's driving you, what's really going on for you at a deep level. We also dive into functional testing. So this is completely different to standardized blood tests from the doctor, to really discover what is at the core of your root physical fatigue, exhaustion, what's actually really going on. And sometimes it's quite surprising with what actually shows up, and how to actually take care of that as well. We get all of that handled. So if you know that you're totally being impacted by fatigue, you're feeling maybe a sense of malaise, or just not feeling generally well within yourself, and there's so many different contributing factors, of course, that can go into that, then please reach out. Let's have a chat, see where you're currently at, and see if and how I might be able to help you. It's one of the most important things. Remember that the home that you live in emotionally every day becomes your life. So if you're not enjoying life, if you're in a state of fear, if you're exhausted, tired, and feeling like you really constantly have to push yourself to motivate yourself, or you're suffering from low self-belief or low confidence, it's definitely time to make those changes, so that you can finish 2020 in the strongest position possible. Not only that, but also moving into 2021 with such fresh energy, where you're feeling absolutely amazing and getting back to totally thriving, and creating 2021 to be your best year yet. So loads of love to you. Hey, Cal, great to have you on here, darling. Like I said, if this is really resonating with you, please PM me. Let's book in a time to chat, and we can certainly go from there and see if and how I might be able to help you. At the very least, you're going to get to the core of really understanding what's going on for you, what's the root cause that's causing a lot of the challenges perhaps that you're experiencing, and get a plan to be able to move forward around that as well. So have an amazing day, guys. Loads of love, and as always, if this has been valuable to you, I totally appreciate any loves, shares, to really make a difference in the world. I think that this is a huge thing, certainly from the perspective, in my opinion, I think mental health is completely misdiagnosed a lot of the time. I'm not saying that it's, all of the time, but when you really, really understand at a deep level what's going on physically for you and how much that's impacting our mental thoughts and well-being, and how quickly the mind goes to, that hypervigilant state of what's going wrong, what's going to happen next, how we're beating up on ourselves, then it's really, really important to take care of those things. So loads of love. Thanks, Cal, for your beautiful thoughts and comments. Have an amazing day, guys. Bye for now.